I got an intro. Welcome, everybody, to Monday Night Nerd. I hope you all are doing good. Happy Monday, everybody. My name is Corp Cosplay, and I am so happy you could be here. It is going to be a great show tonight. We are going to be talking about one class that I took in my high school career that really helped me get ready for my cosplay career, I guess you'd call it, my fandom, whatever you want to call it, and made me a better cosplayer and a better performer in cosplay. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of the fun things we did in that class, because there's a lot of fun things. We're going to talk about actually a famous actress that was a part of that class, and I haven't talked to her in a while, but she was great. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some more fun stuff, but of course, we're going to start off with some news. Let's kick things off with a little bit of news. The first little bit of news we're going to talk about tonight is a little bit of wrestling. So, for those who know, I am a giant wrestling fan. And AEW, the competitor, I guess you'd call them, or the other company besides WWE, had a pay-per-view over the weekend. Not this weekend, the weekend prior. Actually, wow, it wasn't even a pay-per-view. It just hit me. It was friggin' Dynamite. It was their TV show on Wednesday. Wow, that's surprising. Okay, anyways, that changes everything in my mind. And the show ended with a big eight-man tag, where it was a big 2-ring match with cages, and it was called Blood and Guts. And all 5 men were in the cage, and they were doing all this hardcore stuff they used broken glass, they used thumbtacks, they used tables, they used chairs, they used a nail board, a whole bunch of crazy stuff. Honestly, I've been a wrestling fan since like 1997 when I was like 9 years old. And even I have to admit, the way wrestling is going now, I can't do the hardcore stuff anymore. I can't do weapons and stuff and blood everywhere. Like it was one thing when I was younger, and I didn't really think of what that meant. But since we've come out and seen CT scans and how much this is actually hurting people, yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. But anyways, they had this big, amazing match that everyone is raving over, except for hardcore fans, kind of like myself. And the part that everyone is talking about is one of the participants in the match. He's a wrestler from Japan, had come over to be a part of this match. And after the match, one team had left. These guys were left in the ring, and there was some thumbtacks laying on the ring. And he decided, just for a laugh, to take a back bump, which is when you fall backwards, into the thumbtacks. And they are real thumbtacks, by the way. And he stands up and kind of waves, and everyone's kind of looking at him like, what'd you do that for? Someone taped it on their cell phone. It wasn't shot live. This was all after the match, after the TV show went off the air. It really frustrated me. And it's one of the few times that I hate putting... I'm okay with putting things into the compartments of like, oh, it's wrestling, whatever, and whatever, I can't. This one bugged me a lot, because we all know wrestling is the F word, and that's fake. I don't like the word fake, because I trained for pro wrestling. If you watch an old episode, I talk all about that. And I understand what these guys go through on a nightly basis. And to the average fan, we all kind of know that it's a bunch of, it's scripted and people know what they're doing. But when they started doing thumbtack spots back in 2002, 2003, if I remember correctly, it was a thing that was a big deal. It was a big deal because everybody's been pricked by a thumbtack or a needle or something like that. And it was one of the few things in wrestling that a lot of people, even that knew what was going on, still kind of went, ooh, okay, that hurts. I get that. And watching somebody take that bump on their own and jump up like nothing happened, that kind of took a dump on everything, I feel like. I feel like that made it fake. and made it a joke. And I feel like that was a really bad look. Again, there's people online asking why, he's going to get repercussions for it. From what I've read and what I've seen, no. Again, I think if you're going to do something like that, think twice. And I know you're probably thinking, well, they're not taping it. It's for the fans. People have cell phones now with cameras. Like everybody within about 4 or 5 feet of each other has a cell phone. It's always being recorded. Don't do something like that. And I just feel like it took a dump on everything in that match. And it bugged me. So that's my little rant for the day. Other than that, wrestling wise, there isn't a heck of a lot going on, which is kind of nice. As much as I have to say, there's been a lot of weird things going on with wrestling, and I'm kind of, I don't know. I used to be way more of a fan, obviously, when I was a lot younger. I'm still a fan now. You can tell by the belt. But I just haven't been able to keep up with it, mostly because cosplay and everything else is kind of taken over this on Monday nights, because Monday Night Raw is happening right now. I'll give you 3 guesses where I got the name from. So I just don't watch it as much. Still a fan, though. News number 2. As you can tell by the shirt, I kind of went to see a movie this weekend, and it seems like a lot more went to see this movie as well. I saw Barbie. I didn't see Oppenheimer, though. No, I went to see Barbie with my wife and a buddy of ours, Sean, and I got to admit, it was a pretty fun movie. I was not sure what to expect. I was a little concerned it was just going to be little kid humor. I had read a review earlier in the week, or I saw actually watched a video of it, and it was a lot of and I was kind of worried about it. But once the movie started going, I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed. The cast was amazing. Margot Robbie did an amazing job. Will Ferrell was hilarious. Will Ferrell's hilarious in everything he ever does. That was Ryan Gosling did an amazing job as Ken. I'm not going to spoil the plot. They don't really. It's interesting. I was kind of wondering what they would do for a plot. And what they did with it was actually interesting. I was actually like, didn't expect that. And if you can do that to me, I'm kind of a putz when it comes to movies like that. Like, it's really easy to make me go, oh, I didn't see that coming. But when you can do it, I enjoy the movie mostly. So that was really fun. There was pink everywhere in the movie theater, which was really fun. The movies were packed. Like, it was pink everywhere, which was so good. And based on the numbers, I think I read this morning that it was like it made 155 million opening weekend. Like, it is blowing everything out of the water. And I think it's because you've got kind of what Marvel has done in the past, where it's gotten that nostalgia. It's got, a fan base behind it. You've got kids that want to see it. You've got adults that want to see it. So it's going to do great. And I think Oppenheimer didn't do terrible. I think it did about 80 million. So good for them. I'll probably watch that at some point. But no, you know what? It was really, really good. I don't think this is a spoiler. It was, I don't think this is a spoiler, but I am going to mention one part. Will Ferrell plays the CEO of Mattel. And he does an amazing job. But it had me thinking today. Both movies that have come out recently about toys, he's played a part in. So you have Will Ferrell as the CEO of Mattel in this, and you have Will Ferrell as the dad in the Lego movie. What if, and this doesn't happen, but what if at the end credits you have Will Ferrell leave Mattel or leave the office, go home, say, "Hun, it's been a long day at the office. I need to go just be by myself." And he goes downstairs and he starts working on his Lego. Wouldn't that be such a cool idea? Like, I think that it would totally work based off both characters, that it is actually the same person, because you never find out what Will Ferrell does as a job for Lego Movie. I don't remember. I don't believe so. But I was thinking about that today, that it'd be a nice little Easter egg at the end. But yeah, go see it. Go see in theaters. Like, honestly, go see in theaters. It was that good of a movie. For any Aqua fans out there, you're gonna be disappointed. I think we've all known, they've had multiple reports that Barbie Girl is not going to be in the movie. There is a remix, and by remix, I mean there's about 3-4 seconds of the original song in this version. So yeah, kind of bummed about that part, but it was good. I loved it. Sean loved it. My wife loved it. I had to go pick up. We now have the Barbie movie Barbie in our house because my wife wanted it, so I had to pick that up for her yesterday. But yeah, it was good. I was very happy with it. What I wasn't happy about was I watched The Flash yesterday. Oh boy. Okay, let's get into this trailer park fire that was The Flash. A little side note here: in the next couple weeks, I will be doing a top 10 comic book movies, my list, and I'll be doing a top 10 worst comic book movies. This one will make that second list and might make a pretty high number. Where do I begin? The plot, which we can all understand. If you've read Flash, you can kind of figure out it's the origin story and who killed Flash's mom. Like, I think we can all kind of put 2 and 2 together of what that is. Boy, I don't want to spoiler anything, but it is hard. Ezra Miller is terrible as the Flash. They were 2023. They were terrible in Justice League. I hated them in Justice League. I hate them in this. As you can tell by the trailers, there's 2 of them. The newer one, or the second one, is worse. It's as if you took Ezra Miller and Seth Rogen stoned and put them together. And it's annoying as hell from the minute they start talking. I was actually texting Sean while I was watching it, and I said, honestly, this was before Michael Keaton shows up. I said, if Michael Keaton didn't show up, this would be the worst comic book movie I've ever seen. However, Michael Keaton does show up, and it is good. And Michael Keaton's not even my Batman. I grew up with the Val Kilmer Batman Forever. Actually, I take that back. I actually grew up with the Batman 66. The old one, that was mine, because I actually watched the Batman TV show on reruns before I watched any other Batman. So that's actually the Adam West one is mine. Michael Keaton was very good as the Batman. I will fully support that. I cannot remember the actress's name who played Supergirl. She did an incredible job as Supergirl. I truly think she could have been Supergirl long term. I don't believe she will be, based off what James Gunn has said about the DC universe. But man, was it rough. The plot is frustrating because you can see such an easy path to solve the problem, and Ezra Miller doesn't take it. They make it so complicated when it is a set. Thank you, Alex. Sasha Khalil. Or Callie. Callie? I believe it's Callie. Ezra Miller makes it so much more complicated than it has to be. The dialogue is dog crap. You can see holes every 5 seconds. But Michael Keaton and Supergirl were good. That's all I can say. The ending, I actually, Kels came and sat down next to me when I was watching it, and she was asking what I thought of it, and I had to explain the frustration of the ending. And yeah, the cameos that everybody is pretty much aware of now. Um, I don't know. I feel like it was a waste. I feel like because I knew all the cameos, I was okay with it. I feel like if you don't have a hard understanding of all of the DC properties and what they've done throughout the decades, they make no sense to you. So I feel like you're kind of playing to a very, very niche audience, which I don't think is a great idea. But yeah, Alex saying no one from Arrowverse. Agreed. I don't understand why they didn't. I think that's the most frustrating part about this whole thing is that Grant Gustin does such a good job on Flash, the TV show, and their DC has the same problem that Marvel does of just like, we're not going to make it together. We're going to make them separate. And thankfully now they are starting to connect them. But man, Warner Brothers has this problem, and they've done it for years, where they just can't stop mucking around with things. Like Ryan Reynolds, make things for the fans. It's crazy. It just works. Like, people care about that stuff. But anyways, yeah, I watched it. It was frustrating. I will never watch it again. Like I said, next week, not next week, probably a couple weeks from now, we'll do my top 10 worst comic book movies. And I don't know if it's next week or the week. Yeah, I wrote a schedule. One of the weeks coming up, I will do my top 10 comic book movies, and you will be very surprised on what my top 10 are. They are not what you think they would be. Two quick things that we're popping to the main event. So if anybody is from around here, anybody who is a nerd or a fan of retro things, there is an independent company, I guess they would be considered, Retro Kid. They are doing a sale this week. If you've seen any of their stuff online, they have YTV stuff, they have Video and Arcade Top 10 stuff, they have Pokeroo stuff, they have Sharon Lowe's and Bram stuff, lots of different lines. They have cereal stuff now. Their entire store is going to be 40% off tomorrow, Wednesday. This is not sponsored. I'm just telling you this because this is something I will probably be picking stuff up from. I've been looking at their stuff for a long time. They were at Expo last year, and I wanted to buy stuff, but I just did not have the funds. So I'm probably going to pick myself up a Video and Arcade Top 10 shirt on Wednesday because I've wanted one for so long because I love that show. But yeah, check them out on Instagrams, other social media, Retro Kid. They do a great job. Last but not least for the news, let's talk about Fan Expo 2023. It is right around the corner, folks. We are within a month of Fan Expo 2023. This will be my 14th Fan Expo in a row. That's including the year off for the pandemic. 14 years in a row, I will be going to Fan Expo Canada. It is I consider it my vacation. Walking around with a whole bunch of people sweating in a cosplay is my version of vacation. I'm kind of weird. What can I say? But we announced a couple cosplayers are going to be guest starring or guests there. Sadly, I'm not one of them. I did not apply. If you've been on my social media for a very long time, sorry, my legs are just adjusting like crazy tonight. If you have been friends with me for a long time, I posted during the pandemic that I wanted to be a guest with Fan Expo Canada in 5 years. That is a goal of mine, and I am sticking to it. I am 3 years in now, so we will see what happens in the next couple of years. Hopefully things like this, hopefully things like my cosplay, which I'm working on. Hopefully all that. I want to be a guest at Fan Expo in some capacity because I love that con, and it would be really cool to say that I was a guest at one of these cons. But they did announce some cosplayers, and I want to run through them quickly because they deserve a shout out, and you should go check them out on social media. If you want to see what they are or who they are, go on Fan Expo Canada, go to guests, and then go to cosplayers. You can find a full list there. So we've got Jalea. I believe she is a professional. She has been there a few times. She's really cool. I talked to her once, I believe. One of the last times she was there, I said hi to her. She's really cool. Lily Bunny Cosplay. She's been there the last couple of years. She's really cool. I really like her because she gave me an award one year. So I really think she's a good cosplayer. Lucky Grimm, she is really cool. She has been the host of the Masquerade for the past couple of years. Can't wait to see her again. Austin Larkham, I do not know who they are. I think this is one of their first times at this con, so I can't wait to pop over and say hi to them. I usually try to say hi to all these cosplayers not just for like networking, stuff like that, but just, hey, you're an artist. Like, good for you. Like, I want to say hi. I want to know what's up with you. You know, what's your specialty, stuff like that. I like to know things like that. Lady Zero, I believe she has been there once before, if I remember correctly. I've not met them, but I will definitely stop by. But I'm going to butcher this one. Kuja Onlison. Cujo Onslin? Let's go with that. Really, really cool Cloud from Final Fantasy Cosplay. Definitely going to ask them about how they do their armor pieces, because I'm debating on doing a Cloud. The problem is I then have to build a giant Buster Sword to do it. Pretty nerdy Crystal. She is really cool. I yak with her every now and then. Really cool. She deserves to be there. She is really good. Seven's Original. Do not know them. They're rocking a what's their name from the Hellfire Club. So can't wait to meet them. Plentiful Props 3D. I have them on Instagram. Incredible Iron Man suits. Shredder's Cosplay. I believe I met them last year. Really, really good armor. Bite Props. I've known her for a couple years now. She is really, really nice. I know she's super excited to be guesting at Fan Expo. Finally, she was a guest. She did a panel at Anime North earlier in the year, and I unfortunately got to miss it. She's really good at 3D printing. And Cray Critter, she won the Masquerade last year, and now she is a guest. So good for her. Congrats to all you cosplayers out there who are guesting at Fan Expo. I can't wait to say hi to you guys this year. I can't wait to meet you if I haven't met you yet. This is going to be a good year. It's going to be a warm year. I feel like I'm going to be sweating like crazy in Dash, but it is going to be fun nonetheless. Folks, that's it for the news. I think we're about to jump into the main event. And yeah, actually, we have a sponsor. We have sponsors here. Of course. Give me a second. A little drinky drink here. Sponsor as always, folks. If you don't know it by now, what do you mean? How do you not know the sponsor? Sponsors the same every week, unless someone gives me some money, and then they will go one below this person, and that person is my wife. I would not be here. I would not be doing this without my amazing, loving wife. She is the one who, gives me the motivation to do this stuff and supports me in all my adventures here on the interwebs and in cosplay and life in general. So, hun, I love you. Thank you very much. I wouldn't be the person I am without you. Love you, babe. Alex, will I be volunteering? I will not be volunteering. I do not volunteer at Fan Expo. Actually, I take that back. I volunteered the 2021, the modified version of Fan Expo. No, I have been attending as a fan since 2009. So I bought my ticket, I got my hotel, and I will be there walking around in cosplay. This is going to turn to a big conversation, and it's going to take up too much time. So I'll just give you the quick version. The way that Fan Expo does their volunteering, I'm not a big fan of. If you've never volunteered at Fan Expo, but you volunteered at other cons like Hamilton, Niagara, etc., you have to pay a deposit at Fan Expo. I understand why. However, I don't agree. Especially with what happened during the pandemic, where if you had put in money for your deposit, I believe, don't quote me on this, but because they couldn't get into the offices to get that money back, some people did not get their money back. And that is frustrating. And personally, I think you should be able to trust me to be a volunteer. If it's your first year doing it, I completely understand of, a couple bucks. $50 now is your deposit. Sorry. That's too much for me. And if I have an emergency and I have to run, I'm not even thinking about the $50 until I get home. And then I'm going to be really mad that I don't have my $50. So sorry, that's my point of view. And I don't agree with it. So I'll probably never be volunteering at Fan Expo. I enjoy being a fan, and I'll probably be going there for the next 13, 14 years again. But yeah, that's my reasoning for not volunteering. Let's jump into the main event. let's jump into some fun. All right. So last week we really deep dove into how I wanted to be an artist and how I wanted to draw for the living. I wanted to draw. I wanted to work for Disney or Pixar or Looney Tunes or Marvel or whatever. And then I realized I can't. I can't draw. Well, I can doodle, but I couldn't draw quality enough to do it professionally. And I really had a moment where I was unsure of who I was going to be without that. Was I going to be, was I going to be working at Tim's for the rest of my life? Was I going to be, just sitting there playing video games? It then dawned on me that I had actually been doing something in high school that helped me, because I was very worried that I took so many art classes and spent so much time drawing that I didn't have anything else to fall back on. But I actually did have something to fall back on, and that was my acting. And what class I took in high school was drama class. I took 4 years of drama class, and it was worth it to a degree that I will never understand, because it means so much to me now in life and in cosplay. So let me give you the backstory of how this all worked. I didn't just sign up for drama class. When I was in grade school, I had done a couple performances. We had, if I remember correctly, and my mom's watching, she'll correct me even more, we had a dance troupe in grade school. And that dance troupe did 2 performances. And one of them was 007. I cannot remember the track. It's from one of the movies. And the other dance we did was Macho Man by the Village People. And we were dressed up in disco clothes, and we were kids, and it was fun. And it was moments like that I realized this is something that I actually enjoyed doing. I didn't get the butterflies. I did get butterflies, but I didn't get them to the point of I can't do this. It was more, I want to do good. And when I started to realize that was, like I said, when I did the dance troupe, but then I also noticed little things growing up that I liked showing off. I liked getting an applause. And it's still that way now. I love that you folks are spending your Monday nights and in the future watching what I do. I mean, that means the world to me, because I'm no one special. I'm not some kid of a celebrity. I wasn't, I'm not somebody famous. I'm just a guy who likes, hanging out online, talking about stuff he loves. When I was in high school, we had a specific class that was called, it wasn't an elective, but it was sort of like, it was sort of a mixed match class. And that was, you're going to do 4 or 5 different classes throughout the term or the semester. And it's going to give you like a little taste of different things. And then the next semester or next year, you're going to then pick which one of those you want to do as a full class. And if I remember correctly, it was things like woodworking, it was manufacturing, so working with metal and steel. There was food prep, you'd work in the cafeteria. There was a TV and film class, stuff like that. And I believe there was one other one, I can't remember what it was. And you would go through the class and take a little bit, I think it was like 2 weeks of each one. And you had little mini projects that you would do, and it would sort of give you a taste of what the class would be. And you pick next year what you want to do. Woodworking was kind of fun. If I remember correctly, we made a boomerang. Food prep, I think we worked in the cafeteria a couple days, which was a blast because we got to eat while we were working, which was, for a kid, was amazing. TV and film was the one that everybody wanted to do because you got to watch movies. You got to learn how movies were shot and TV was shot. You use the big cameras. There's a big studio, stuff like that. And the last one was manufacturing. The manufacturing, what we did was we built a metal pen. We got a piece of metal about yay wide, and we got to go on the lathe and chisel it down and hollow it out, and you built yourself a pen. And I thought that was really cool. So I said, I'm going to do manufacturing. I'm going to build things. And I remember being super excited the next year. And we got to day one and we got in there and we started in the classroom. We weren't out in the shop. And after about halfway through the day, I went, oh crap. This is not the class I want. This is not the class I want to be a part of. I'm bored. This is going to suck. So I remember booking an appointment with my guidance counselor the next day, had to have been. And I said, look, I made a bad choice. I need to get out of this. What else is there? And he said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I want to do film and TV. And he went, yeah, that class is over full. There's no way you're getting in that class. I said, okay, food prep then. I can learn to cook. I like cooking. Let's do that. No, that's full too. I don't want to do woodworking because I don't want to do the boomerang stuff. I said, what else is there? And he goes, well, we have another class that you didn't really like. It wasn't something you did during that, but there's some, you could do it. I said, what's that? He goes, well, it's drama class. I went, drama class? What's drama class? He goes, well, it's acting and stuff like that. And I went, oh, okay. Like, sure. Let's do drama class. I wasn't really thrilled to do it. And he said, okay, first class is tomorrow. We'll sign you up. And I said, okay. And I remember walking into the class, and every class in the entire school was just rows of desks and a big blackboard at the front of the class. I walked into drama class, and it was a big open space that was all carpeting, and everybody was sitting on the floor. And I went, okay, this is different. And this lady comes over and she says, hi, I'm Miss Nutter. I'd like to welcome. This is my other teacher, Miss Russell. We're going to talk. We're going to get you involved. We're going to get you into this. You know, don't be nervous. You're going to meet some cool people and just enjoy. Okay. Just go sit on the carpet and we'll start. Okay. And it was the most relaxed I've ever been in a class. I sat back and without even realizing it, I kind of went, this is home. This is where I'm meant to be. Still a little nervous. Had my guard up. And we started doing some improv games. We did some games called Yes and, which helped so much in life and so much in cosplay performing. Yes and is a game where you are standing in a scene with somebody. Any scene, you're in a park, there's two people, you're on a bench. Let's not use that because there's actually a game called Park Bench. Two people, you're in a restaurant, you're talking. The person says a statement, your response is always yes and. You always add to the statement. You never say but, because but negates whatever that person said. So you would say, it was a pretty good day today. And the response would be, yes, and it was really fun that I got to walk my dog today. The other person would say, yes, and it was a good day because I got to take mine for a walk, and we walked down to the park, and we actually went by this really nice stream. And you just kept building and building and building and building. And that's the benefit of something like that. Now, you're probably saying, how does this help in life? And, you know, besides a stupid little game. Well, that's a really good way to have conversations with people. And it's a really good way to make someone feel engaged when you're talking to them. And also when you get stuck in a situation where, you know, you're not 100% of where this conversation is going to go, you just keep adding to it. Because if you cut it and say something like, but, you've pushed away the person's ideas that you're talking to, and you're making them feel less than you are. It's always a good skill to have. And I'm so glad I got to do that. And I'm so glad we did it on such a regular basis that it actually is something that I have in my head during everyday experiences. Megan in chat says, yes, always open-ended. It helps. Yes, it so does. It so does. Which is really good for somebody like me, because as freeing and as open as I am on this, I'm actually a really shy person when it comes to one-on-one. I'm really good in front of a crowd, but one-on-one is when I get nervous, especially if I don't know you. So that really does help. So we were doing games like that, and there was a game like Park Bench where you would have someone sitting, you'd have one person who's sitting on a park bench, and someone would come over with a character, whatever they want, something that came up in their head, and you'd have a conversation, and then the person that started would leave, and then a new person would come on, and it was just bouncing through characters and sort of how you interact with different characters in different ways. Again, very good for real life and very good for understanding the dynamics of different people and understanding how one situation could change just with having a fresh pair of eyes or a fresh person come into a scene and come into a conversation, and how that might have to change from time to time. Really good skill to learn, and very, very thankful that I learned it at such a young age. So it was fun doing games like that. It was fun getting involved and talking to, coming up with ideas and coming up with those weird concepts. But what sealed it for me was when we'd have a really good scene and we'd have a lot of fun, the girls would come over and hug. And I'm a guy, and I'll fully admit, before drama class, I was that nerd. And that's part of why I named this channel or this show Monday Night Nerd, is because up until a certain point in my life, I didn't care about girls because I was okay. Like, I was watching wrestling, I was playing video games. Girls weren't really a thing, when supposedly everyone else cared. But once I did this drama class and like a couple girls came over like, hey, Mike, and gave me a big hug, I'm like, oh, this is a really fun class. I really enjoy coming to this class every day. But we got to do all these fun little things that helped me get out of my shell. And when we started the class, we did the class in the drama room, which I said was basically a big open room with a carpet. Once we hit the second year, we moved down into the main auditorium of the school, and we had our classes literally on the stage of the auditorium, which was so cool because we knew if we were going to do a big performance in front of people, that was where we were going to do it. So we could really get a feel for the stage and understand where we were standing, what the lighting was going to be like. And I use that term lighting lightly because the lighting was basically on and off. The lighting board and tech there was terrible. For a little more detail, I went to an older school with older wiring, and the school is closed now. The whole tech lighting board thing was terrible. There was always problems with it. But working on the stage was very good because it got me used to that feeling of grandeur, that feeling of being on a stage. And that helped a lot with being on a stage for a cosplay performance, part of a masquerade, going up there and having a minute to do whatever I felt like in character. So that really helped. Now, with drama class, you obviously have to do a final assignment, and with drama, it was never really written. It was always performance. And it wasn't like you were graded on, were you an amazing performer? Were you a terrible performer? There was little things here and there that would help you. Basically, if you did your best, you got a good grade. Usually with a performance. And we had several really good performances throughout the year. Let me first start off by saying, if Miss Nutter and if Miss Russell were watching this at any time, thank you for everything you've done for me when it comes to the way I act and being able to be a dork, a geek, whatever you want to call me, on the internet and live. However, the frustration that I had that you would not allow us to do anything copywritten is still inside me to this day. We were never allowed to do a performance about anything copywritten. So if we wanted to do Beauty and the Beast, we couldn't do it because there was copy written to it and we couldn't sell tickets. And it frustrated me because the Spanish class got to do it and we didn't. The Spanish class got to do Chicago. The Spanish class got to do Beauty and the Beast. We got to do these indie written things that were good. I will fully admit they were good. But you didn't get the, you want to come see me do Beauty and the Beast? No. So we had to do these little independent short written plays that were purchased by our drama class. And there was some fun things we did. I personally remember we did one called The Dating Game. And the dating game was really fun because I played a character, and if you went to high school with me, you understand, you're all going to get a kick out of this because I still remember it. It was Bob the Slob. And the whole story was 2 hosts, and you had a couple people coming in, and they're looking for dates. And it wasn't the dating game like the TV show. It was different. And I played a character called Bob the Slob. And Bob the Slob was a fisherman from, I don't remember where. And he loves fish. And I mean in the literal sense, loves fish. And for some reason, I had watched the Ladies' Man movie recently at that point in my life. I'm a big fan of that movie, the SNL skit. And I completely ripped off that voice, and that was Bob the Slob's voice. So I would come out and I would perform in full, fisherman attire, and I would talk like this. And I would say how much I love fish and how much I can't wait that you could find me a date for this Thursday night, and I can take her out and show her all the loving that a fish deserves. And people were dying. And I know where the voice came from, but I didn't tell anybody because why break it? But that was a really fun performance for me. It was a really bad performance for everybody else because, and this is why I doubt I will ever be an actor, I hate memorizing lines. So I know there was at least a couple times during that show in front of an audience that I completely went off script, and I could totally tell the people I'm talking to are looking at me like, what line is that from? And I just made it up because I was just having fun out there. And that was a really good way of getting another applause and another great crowd reaction. And that, again, practice makes perfect. And doing all of those performances in high school allowed me to build the confidence that I can do this. Like this is nothing for me. We did several different performances just between us two, which was really good. Just getting the understanding and the feedback from other actors, I guess you'd call us in the high school sense. I did if you've ever seen the movie The Crow, when Eric Draven is putting on the makeup, I did a version of that during one of our performances. One that still sticks with me in a very sad reason is we had one of our classmates went up and did a monologue. And if I remember correctly, she broke something on stage purposely. She broke a glass or something. And she did the performance. We're all sitting in the front row. She broke the glass, and then she walked off stage and didn't sit with us. She just walked out of the auditorium. And I was like, she coming back? And everyone's like, we'll talk about it later. Don't worry about it. And we're like, oh, okay. And she didn't come back to the next class and didn't come back to the next class. And I think she was gone for about a month. And we later found out that she had recently had a miscarriage, and that was her way of grieving about it. And that kind of hit home of like, ooh, this isn't just fun and games for people. This is really serious, and this is an outlet for people to let things out that, you know, have to deal with something so tragic and so terrible. So it really made me think about the emotion that you can do on this, because I want to stress this for anybody who is performing, who is doing cosplay performance specifically. You don't have to go for the laughs every time, because sometimes when you go for those laughs, they feel very forced and it doesn't come off the way you want. So you can do something serious. I wouldn't take it too dramatic and too dark, but hold back on the laughs sometimes. It you don't have to. That was a complete side note. I have to admit, though, even though I enjoyed the performing part of it, one thing I did really enjoy was in the last year, we had to do a couple big performances at the end. I believe there was 3 plays. And one of them was one that every guy wanted. And I didn't even shoot for it because I knew I'd be up against every single person in the class. And that was, you were a football jock, and you basically had the female devil and angel kind of pushing you and pulling you in different directions. And you were laying in bed, and the devil and angel were in not lingerie, but, you know, skimpy attire. And I remember every guy fighting for that role. And it was a fun play to watch, but it wasn't for me. The one I enjoyed, and this is where I go back to the laughs part, is a play called May I Have Your Attention, Please? And this was one that I ended up directing, actually. I wanted to be a part of it, but I wanted to try my chances at directing. And the play involved a cast of 5 people. There was the main child, I'd say teen. There was the mother, the father, the older sister, the younger brother. Yeah, that's 5. And the play basically revolved around the family sitting around the living room watching a TV, and the TV was showing whatever. And they get a package in the mail, and the package is, at the time, kids, a VHS. And they put the VHS in, and the VHS is basically the main character, the boy, talking about how the family doesn't love him, the family doesn't care about him, doesn't respect him, and in the end, the son ends his life. And I thought this would be a very interesting play to do. I thought it would definitely provoke some people, I think, in a good way to talk. I was really thinking that this might bring up some conversations, because we were going to perform these in front of parents. So the way we shot the play was, we shot it, if you're looking at the stage, the back of the TV is facing you, semicircle of the family, and the main character was walking as if he was on the TV, in and out of the family, talking to each one of them. At the end, you hear the gunshot goes black. We then had each member of the cast come out and speak about teen suicide and say a line about it, or a statistic, with the last one being the main boy coming out and saying, you should probably talk to your children about this. The cast was great. We had one of my brothers, Tom, was the main boy. Tom, this is the funny thing, Tom, in every single play he ever did in high school, killed himself. Every play. With not even trying. Just for some reason, that's the role he got thrown in every single one. When we got to the point of the gunshot, we needed a gunshot sound. I found one online. I did not realize that it was like a 44 Magnum. So it was like a blast, way more than it needed to be. And we had Tom come out at the end, and I wanted to do a little more oomph behind his last line. So when he shoots himself, we had him come out again with just blood dripping down him, which I thought added a nice little period at the end of it. The play went very well. I made the blood. I was very happy. That was my first special effect. I made mint flavored blood, which Tom appreciated because it was a good flavor. He wanted to drink it. And I'm like, it's just corn syrup. Don't drink it. And did the gunshot. And we got I don't think we got a standing ovation. We got a very good ovation. The next day, however, we had to sit down with our teachers. And the teachers basically said, so we got a couple phone calls. And the phone calls basically were 50-50. 50% thought we should never do that again, and they're appalled that we did it. 50% of them were, I sat down with my son or daughter last night and we talked about teen suicide for the first time. And in my first, I think, ballsy mic drop moment of my life, I looked at my teacher and I said, one person had a conversation that they would never have had any other way. I'm glad I did it. And she said, so do we. We're standing behind you. And it died off quickly after that. But I remember kind of having that moment of like, this is going to piss some people off, but it's something they should know about. And it's something that needs to be said. And this was before, I shouldn't say this was before. This was, sadly, it's becoming so prevalent. This was before it really became prevalent. So I'm glad some parents went home and had some conversations with their kids. But it was things like that and getting on a stage and realizing that this is pretty fun and this is something that I enjoy doing. And it gave me the experience to get up there and, do cosplays now and do things like this and not feel worried about, what you guys think, because, in the end, I'm doing this for me. Sorry, I'm going to be selfish. I'm doing, like, if nobody watched this, I'd still be doing it because I just enjoy doing it. I like performing. I like having a camera in front of me. So, I do appreciate everybody watching. I love my fans. Thank you very much. Not saying I don't, but yeah, that really did help. And I got to work with some amazing people. I got to work with my brother Tom, my brother Gavin, both their wives, Lindsay, Krista. Greatly appreciate them. They were great to work with. But there was somebody in that class that went on to become pretty cool in the nerdy world. If you are all a fan of Murdoch Mysteries, if you're a fan of Star Trek Discoveries, Sarah Middich, who plays Commander Arium on Discoveries, and I believe she came back as another character in the later seasons, she was actually in that class with me. We went to high school together. She was that person in that class that I went, you're going to make it. You're going to make it. Because I knew as soon as that graduation ceremony was over, she was on the first train ride to Toronto. And she was. And she did. And now she is, she was on Star Trek. She was on Murdoch Mysteries. She's been in a couple movies. She's been doing some independent movies now. She's really cool. I would love to have her at Fan Expo Canada because I'd love to sit down and actually yak with her. We've had a couple conversations here and there throughout the years since high school, but I haven't really been able to sit down and yak with her. But, she's the person that I was like, yeah, she's going to make it. So, but that class meant so much to me. And I didn't even realize it at the time. I didn't realize that, just getting up there and doing those reps. And that's some advice for anybody out there who wants to do something. Like, if you want to do cosplay, if you want to do this, if you want to do anything, do it. Don't think about it. Do it. Because I'm telling you, your first bunch are going to suck. It happens with everybody. Go watch my first couple episodes of this. They're crap compared to this. And I'm only on episode 20 something right now. But compared to my first 5 episodes, I've gotten better at this. I hope. I feel like I have. But things get better with practice. And because I was able to practice so much on the stage in drama class, I'm able to come up and do this with confidence. And I'm able to get on a stage in front of, a couple hundred people, I guess, depending on the fan expo, and not feel worried. Like I've said it a bunch of times, I'm the one who's behind the curtain when I'm ready to walk out. And they're just, all the people running it are looking at me going like, I don't even have to psych you up. You're already good. And I said, I love this. This is my minute of just, I worked every weekend, every other night to get up on this stage, and it's worth it. It's completely worth it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We're going to do one quick question that came in because a friend sent this in because I believe they have a younger person in their life that wants this answered. So I think I can do a pretty good job at it. If you don't have the benefit of doing a drama class, how do you get used to being on stage in front of a crowd? The best way to do it for me is doing your performance in front of a mirror. When I was growing up, I had the benefit of my mom being a former fitness trainer. So she had the big mirror in the basement to make sure you're doing all your techniques properly. And I would use that when I was playing, when I was doing my playing with wrestling and, playing Power Rangers, stuff like that. And I would do all the moves in front of the mirror to make sure that I'm getting the move correctly. If you want to get better at being comfortable on stage, do that. Get a mirror of fair size. I'm not saying get a whole wall mirror, but more than just like a little pocket mirror. And start doing poses, start doing moves. Get used to feeling what your body feels like and how it looks in different angles and different lighting. Like if I've got 2 lights here and I've got a small light here. If I turn one of these off, it's going to change how I look. Try different things because you'll find a way that your body looks different and looks better even in different lighting and different poses. If you want to go one step beyond that, turn on a camera and videotape yourself. No one's ever going to see it. It's just for you. So don't feel like you're doing a performance. Videotape yourself and watch it back. See what you did wrong, what you did right, and modify it. Do it again, do it again, do it again. Get those reps in because in no time, you're going to be able to almost do that performance in your sleep. That's the best thing I can do. That's the best way to get better at anything is just keep doing it over and over and over again. Folks, it has been a great Monday night. I'm so glad you guys stopped by. Let me check my schedule just so we can, I knew it. So next week, we are going to be doing the top 10 comic book movies. I'm going to do my first top 10 here on the channel. I know the guys and gals at Geeks & Co. have a way that we can pop a list up here. I can auto-fill it, and I'm going to try and figure out how to do that so we can have a list running during this. I want all of you to come back, watch along, and I want you to tell me your top 10 comic book movies. Because I want to see if I'm an odd one because I got some odd choices, or if you guys got some odd choices. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. I can't wait to see you all next week. Have a great week, folks. Looks like it's going to be a good week. It looks like it's not going to pour rain all week, which is always nice. But yeah, stay nerdy, friends. I will see you all next week here on Monday Night Nerd. Have a great week. Talk to you soon. See ya. Hey, thanks for watching Monday Night Nerd. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the subscribe button, like this content, and follow on social media for even more nerdy fun. See you soon.